Hello?
Hey, have you seen this one marvelous scene thing they're doing on YouTube?
No?
Oh, it's like a bunch of YouTubers talking about their favorite scenes in the MCU. There's a whole playlist of them.
Hey, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw Nando V Movies said that if you make a video, he'll chuck it in the playlist.
Okay.
Like, this could be the video that finally cracks us 2,000 subs, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, I could do one about how awesome it is when Bruce Banner's like, that's my secret cap. I'm always angry.
Nah, someone's already done that one.
Okay, well, I could do one about the Spider-Man Homecoming scene with Michael Keaton in the car.
Oh, yeah, I love that scene. So does lessons from the screenplay. They already did it.
Okay, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do, and you're going to love it.
Hey,
Back in 2012, I was one of those people who didn't think the Avengers movie was going to work. I just couldn't fathom how the hyper-realised, distant future tech world of Iron Man or the Incredible Hulk was ever going to mix with the heavy fantasy sci-fi world of Thor, or the gritty war story vibes of Captain America.
Oh, so now Iron Man lives in a world with aliens and mystical artifacts and cryogenic freezing? That won't work. They're too different, and having any of these characters cross over into each other's realm would cheapen the reality of all of their films.
Now, I'll go on record admitting that I was wrong. And not only did The Avengers become, and still is to this day, my favourite MCU movie with its awesome set pieces, hilarious jokes, and some of the best blockbuster fare to ever be put to screen, but it also mastered balancing those different characters and aesthetics in a way I never could have imagined. And no other scene succeeds at combining all these ingredients into one big cinematic casserole quite as well as this scene, which, for my money, is one of the best scenes in the MCU. This scene, where Tony guides the missile through the wormhole into space to blow up the Chitauri, is a great climax, but it's the character moment here that I want to focus on, specifically Tony's face. We see wonderment, we see fear, we see confusion. We see an acknowledgement of the extraordinary as he realises that his own life, as well as the rest of the world, will truly never be the same again. It's one thing to talk about an alien invasion, or even fight giant aliens, but to actually travel yourself into distant galaxies is an experience which would move even the cockiest of humans. This is a scene which changes Tony's life, and we see that hit him in the moment, and subsequently in almost every movie Iron Man appears in afterwards. Now, this isn't necessarily a video about Tony Stark as a character. There's another New Zealand YouTuber in this very series with way more subscribers than I have who already did a video on that. So don't worry, I'm not going to delve as deep as Hello Future Me did into how this moment affects Tony, because this kind of experience is one that could have happened to almost any MCU Earthbound character. I'm more talking about the fact that it affects him at all. One of my biggest criticisms of the MCU is that a lot of ordinary people are thrust into extraordinary situations or experience extraordinary things that they never thought they would experience, and their reactions range from mildly perturbed to downright nonchalant. When Christine in Doctor Strange sees Stephen Strange astral project for the first time, she's initially shocked but gets over it pretty quickly. A doctor, a woman of science, and this moment of the supernatural barely even shakes her when it should have changed her life. Janet Van Dyne in Ant-Man and the Wasp has been living in the microverse for 30 years and still functions like a perfectly normal human being when she reunites with Hank, instead of, having forgotten how to even speak to other people or having lost her humanity altogether. Peter Parker in Avengers Infinity War literally travels to space and hangs out on another planet, and instead of being overcome with a profound sense of wonder, he's pretty happy to just continue cracking jokes. Imagine going to space. Imagine you're just a 15-year-old kid, and sure, maybe you were bit by a radioactive spider and you fight supervillains, but your entire perspective of the world, the universe, life, everything is earthbound. Now imagine going to space. In my opinion, we got to see this life-changing moment with Tony, and he's pretty much the only character we've seen it happen with. I get that there's not always going to be time to address these issues, and with a film that's already as bulky as Infinity War, I'm sure that a scene where Peter Parker is paralysed with shock and awe for being on an alien planet is probably going to find its way to the cutting room floor anyway. And I also appreciate that these examples have sequels on the horizon in which, if we're lucky, we might get at least a delayed reaction to these life-changing moments. Though watching these characters have no trouble with accepting where they are or what they're seeing in the moment are some of my biggest moments of disbelief which I have to suspend while watching these movies. This is my point with Tony travelling to space in the Avengers. We actually see that initial shock. We see it hit home. And while I was already on board with the movie by that point, this simple acknowledgement that a man who'd lived on Earth his whole life was now in the recesses of space is what sealed the deal for me. It's what made the Avengers my favourite Marvel film. Plus, for as much shit as Iron Man 3 and Age of Ultron get, we actually get to see the fallout of Tony's otherworldly experience here. We see him have panic attacks, we see him overcompensate for what he's afraid of. We even get flashes of his PTSD in Civil War 2. I think it's fortunate that Tony flying through the wormhole was the first example of this kind of thing happening in the MCU, and that it was thoroughly explored in future movies. Because at least we saw it portrayed realistically here. And maybe because of that, the writers and probably the audience too can now believe that a kid from Queens can be unmoved by visiting an alien planet, or that a woman deprived of human contact for half her life can still be pretty chill. In screenwriting terms, I understand that the problem with getting hung up on these moments is that they prevent the more exciting plot to drive us forward. I don't want Spider-Man to not go to space, I just wish we got to see its realistic psychological effects. But we did get to see the effects once, with Tony in this awe-inspiring scene from the Avengers. And that's my one marvellous scene from the MCU. Please put us on your playlist, Nando v Movies, or else this is going to be very embarrassing. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and be sure to check out the rest of the videos in this playlist, all of which were made by far more successful content creators than me. Anyway, subscribe to Cop Watcher.